But so we tease back, and we get very defensive. I say about New Yorkers that in Manhattan, the reason there's that nasality in the language is because the higher up you go in those skyscrapers, the thinner the air is, and they say, he's in a meeting right now, you know, and that's what happens. But
I don't think they perhaps have the same values of hospitality that we do in the South. And so I associate all of that with the sound of their voice. And it's grating on your ears. Maybe our sound is also, but it's usually very nasal. And a lot of times the things they say are not kind.
You know, they won't say, "Oh, darling, I'm so glad to see you." They'll say, "Nice to see you." I'll just clip it right off.
Clip it off.
And you've got to put a little adjectives and little darling, precious, something like that to make you a Southerner.
They laugh at me. I took an ice chest out at a wedding, and I said, "I brought the ice." And these three guys said, "You brought the what?" And I said, I brought the ice. And they said, "Well, we're not quite sure what you're saying." And I opened up this ice chest, and I said, "See, ice, asshole."
There's a lot more prejudice against a Southern accent than there is against any other kind. That is, and I think it troubled Jimmy Carter considerably, because in the Northern mind, a Southern accent equals both ignorance and racism, and you'll see that stereotype reinforced in zillions of old movies. You take all those old movies around World War II era, I don't know how many zillions there were, but the classic World War II movie consists of an all-American clean-cut hero who's from somewhere in the Middle West, usually a farm kid from Kansas who's blonde, and he's always got one wisecracking buddy from New York, and then there's always some just dumb, slow-talking Southerner who's the butt of all the jokes in the military movie. And that's a stock character in American movies, and it really has reinforced the prejudice against a Southern accent.
Regional stereotypes have been around for a long time. We often feel that we know an area, whether we've been there or not, because of what we've seen in movies or on television, or what we've read in books. When you hear people with strong regional accents, they tend to be the villains or comic characters.
Hey, Mux, get a load of that.
Don't cover it up. That's the way I like to see it. My name first.
Yeah, but that makes you the challenger.
Just a natural-born point killer, ain't you?
You know, my father once had his name on a thing like that. Yeah, won it. Dead or alive. Reward, 2 cents.
Well, I'll tell you what I would like.
Yes.
I'd like to learn how to talk good.
It's the nice guys and heroes, the well-educated and serious types who speak an accent close to standard English.
Well, I might give you a few books to start with, and then every now and then I'll correct you if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Well, that is when I know. I don't talk so good myself.
You do.
Good.
So what happens? He gets the title shot outdoors in a ballpark, and what do I get? A one-way ticket to Palookaville. You was my brother, Charlie. You should have looked out for me a little bit.
The other side of the stereotype is that a regional accent tags a character as natural, real, the salt of the earth.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody. Instead of a bum, which is what I am. Let's face it.
From Mark Twain's Huck Finn to Thornton Wilder's Our Town, regional accents have been used by writers to make their characters trustworthy.
I don't know how long I can get away with this act, but she's sure worth a try.
All those buildings filled with people. Kind of scares a country boy like me, you know it?
Isn't that sweet? So unpretentious and honest.
No, I have in-laws, and I love Georgia very much. They talk in questions, though. Last week, went to see my mother-in-law. You know, talking to me, you're asking me if you went to see your mother. And then we went to the Braves game. Well, I don't know. Did you go? with your mother-in-law. And then we went home to see Stone Mountain, you know. No. That's why they lost the Civil War. The troops couldn't understand the commands. They were very equivocal, you know. Charge.
Well, it's not them feeling superior, it's me feeling inferior, and I hate when I feel like that. And when I speak horribly, I feel stupid, and I don't have confidence in myself, and it's holding me back. It's holding me back in a lot of things that I want to do. I want a good career and things like that, and if you don't speak well, you can't.
Let's face it, there are certain consequences for not speaking a standard dialect. For example, people may make fun of you, or you may have certain limitations in terms of the job market. So if you don't want to deal with the negatives, it may be very helpful to learn a standard dialect for certain situations. It may not be fair, but that's the way it is.
You know, they kind of stereotype you. What, are you from Brooklyn? Yeah, I am from Brooklyn, but I don't like to, remember it every day. I mean, it was a good place when I grew up, but automatically when they hear this Brooklyn accent, they think like you grew up in a slum hanging out on a corner, and, they get the wrong impression, which I guess I like to make a good impression.
Bearded dwarf.
Bearded dwarf.
Fierce farmer.
Fierce farmer.
Farmer.
Farmer. Farmer.
Regional speech patterns are going to mark you as regional for the rest of your life. And that's not what the corporate world is looking for.
Right, and the final R's certainly, and then some of the medial R's are still missing.
I work for a dental company, and we have really high-tech type equipment, and I'm an outside sales rep, and I would have to fill in at meetings all over the country. And they'd send me, I remember one time in particular, they sent me to Milwaukee, and they weren't even listening to what I was saying, and they were so, they thought it was like a comic act, comedian's act. They were kind of listening more to the way I was speaking than what I was saying. And they'd say, where are you from? And, where are you from? Texas. Where do you think I'm from?
Instantly, there's an ability to stereotype that person, and worst of all, they get stereotyped in terms of ability to do things like run a corporation, or take responsibility, or meet the public, or give a good image. There's the feeling that anybody who talks like that can't be very smart. And if I don't talk like that, I must be smarter than you. And I don't want anybody who's not very smart representing my company. And those kinds of folks tend to have a hard time getting a job. So their speech is very, very important.
It is tough because when you're speaking one particular way, it's almost like a diet. It's tough, but you want it.
Few of us actually go so far as to try to change our accents, especially if we never have to leave our home regions. But even within communities, accents vary enough to reveal something else about us. It's the thing that in a democracy isn't supposed to matter so much, our social class.
My name's Kathy Carangelo, and I live in the north end of Boston. I lived here all my life. I enjoy to travel. My latest trip was to St. Martin, and we took a little side trip to St. Bart's, which was a beautiful island. It was only 9 miles. It's a 2-hour
I'm John
boat
Sears,
ride,
and
but
Boston
today
is
we went
home.
and it rained.
I grew up in the Back Bay part and now live in Beacon Hill, but we're in the Fenway. And the object behind me is Cyrus Dolan's Appeal to the Great Spirit. That statue means a lot to me because it's a reminder.
My name is Sandy Hall, and I am a resident of Boston. I come from a neighborhood called Dorchester, and I'm interested in all types of sporting activities. Right now, the Boston Red Sox are #1. We also have...
Hi, my name is George McAvoy. I live and grew up in South Boston, and now I live in Dorchester. I'm married. My wife is named Marge, and I have 2 boys. George III, who's 3 years
Even in one place, there are many accents. A stranger to Boston might think that everybody there says "park the car" the same way. But one Bostonian can tell the neighborhood and the social or ethnic background of another Bostonian as soon as he opens his mouth. People make these distinctions whether they live in Portland, Maine or Portland, Oregon.
It's easy to figure out which dialects are more desirable and which dialects are less desirable. Just look at which groups are more desirable and which groups are less desirable. We tend to think of urban as better than rural. We tend to think of middle class as better than working class. We tend to think of white as better than black. So if you're a member of one of these stigmatized groups, then the way you talk will also be stigmatized. This goes on all over the United States, in every community.
There are those people who are professionals, and then there are those people who are factory workers, and they live in entirely different social circles.
And you've got three different ways of speaking. You've got a cultured way of speaking, you've got a white trash, is that a terrible expression?
Well, that's what we really think about.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the black
Not
way
really
of
white
speaking.
trash, let's say uneducated.
Okay, that's better.
Uneducated.
Uneducated. There's a difference between uneducated and white trash anyway.
You know, it's I ain't got no. Let's don't let no, let me think, I've got to remember, let's don't let no stump knock no hole in the bottom of this here boat.
One of the things that having an accent does to us is make us have to be excellent. Once you've been in the city and realize how it works, how the social system works, you immediately realize that you have to be one cut above anybody that you're competing with. Because the minute you open your mouth, you've got 2 strikes against you.
I know how we talk. We kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say slur our words, but we don't, enunciate and pronounce our words. When I want to talk proper, I will. If there's somebody I have to impress or,
When you've heard enough people tell you what's wrong with the way you talk, you might begin to believe them.
Yes, I do, because it's ignorant. You know, it sounds ignorant. Oh, come on, listen to this shit. These people hear this stuff, they're going to say, what the hell's coming that garbage out there, damn?
That's it, right there. You see, that's it, right
That's going to happen. They're going to hear this and they say, look at them 2 beautiful girls. If they'd shut their mouths, it'd be great. You know, my girlfriend...
I've heard that so many times.
My girlfriend Rhoda...
Oh, everybody tells us that.
My girlfriend Rhoda tells me that.
If you would keep your mouth shut, you'd be perfect.
I
Once
mean,
they hear that,
it's like, oh my
go through it.
God,
in
what
and
is
out.
it?
What else have they got to live for?
Well,
sex, probably.
well, doubtless sex. They keep that very quiet.
Yeah.
But
I know you don't like Dickens.
no, I don't like Dickens.
Yes, he's post-Austen.
Now, Jane Austen, of course, is the greatest novelist in the English language.
Well,
right?
she's a great novelist, but not the greatest.
Not the greatest.
I'm a Dickens man.
Yeah. Dickens is messy, George.
Of course he's messy, but he's lively.
He only wrote one great book, which is Pickwick Papers.
I would put that way down compared to Bleak House.
I've been here for about 350 years. My family came over with the first load of bricks.
Yeah. I consider myself speaking the Brahmin dialect of Boston. But the word Brahmin is a very difficult word to define, and it wasn't, in fact, invented until Oliver Wendell Holmes in the middle of the last century.
Do you think there are many people in Boston who speak like you 2 gentlemen do?
We're a dwindling group.
They're dwindling. We are a declining group.
But I think there may be as many as 1,000.
I don't know.
Out of 600,000.
I often wonder.
You tend to revel in the communication level you've come to experience. People in the North End, particularly, as I say, revel in the fact that they speak a certain way. And if you speak some way other than that, they find you to be different. And I can't express it more than to say they really revel. They go further than what they really should. In other words, to communicate with one another, they don't have to say "ka," is like they said, but they'll say it even more just to emphasize the fact that that's where they're from.
Julio, come here, will you please, for a minute?
You look all gagato. What's the matter? Rough night? Seriously, did you make it at my party Friday?
Well, you'll find that a lot of
What
us really
happened?
do express ourselves differently, and if my brother Philip was here, he has yet another way of expressing himself.
He'd probably be the best one.
Yeah.
Why? What's your
He definitely has an accent, a Boston North End accent.
The reason why Philip has it so strong and emphasizes it and uses it to his advantage is because he's the only one out of the 5 of us that actually really grew up in the North End.
Columbo, what you doing? Chris fucked up big time. Yeah, he's in trouble in the Marines. He called up his boss. He says, hey, I ain't coming into work today. The boss goes, why not? He says, I'm going and get beamed with the broad. The boss says, yeah, they put him in the brig. Seriously, then he took a piss test, and
Every time I hear my younger brother talk, I cringe, because it's fine for the area, it's fine for your family, you know, but when you travel outside the area and travel outside the family, you're gonna have to pronounce your R's, you're gonna have to think of what you're saying, and you're gonna have to articulate. And all we could do is talk in one manner.
I would never change growing up in the city. The best thing that ever happened to me. Really was. It's such an advantage over people. You go to a club, you start talking to a babe, and she says, you Italian? And she, what makes you think that? She says, you talk like an Italian. And then you start giving it the accent. Yeah, yous guys, and where yous from, and I'm with 3 of my friends. I chew the football all day, and this, that, and the mother, and stuff like that. And the women, they eat it up. They love that. They really do. They thrive on that. And then you get a guy, right, and you tell him, don't fuck with me, I'll break your motherfucking head. And then right away, the guy, he says, wow, this kid's from the city, he's gonna pull a shank on me and cut me. And you can intimidate people with your verbal actions.
On the committee.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
When?
First 3 rows.
Are you?
Watch. You walk right in like me on the joint. Seriously, I'd be lost without growing up in the city and having these assets. I used them as an asset instead of a liability, you know, and when they went to college, it was a liability for my brothers, you know, but then again, they ain't as smart as me.
Hey, body well. That's his name, bro?
I ain't got too much money, man.
Going out, brother. He said we was gonna work it out. Smell that. 350 smell that.
Now you hustling.
No, I'm working with you.
You work?
I'm working with you. I'm trying to meet you.
Man, you sure this real, man?
All day long, real. I'm scared of it. It's so real. Let me buy me a bag.
The dialect of many black Americans is what is often called Black English. Although the roots of Black English go back hundreds of years, its use is still controversial today.
Yeah, girl, I met a dude too, his name Kevin, but he was with his girlfriend, and I didn't play nothing like that, so I left him alone. You know?
When I saw this guy named Mike, Mike was
Well, I think that the majority of white America, you know, does not accept Black English, but not because of the language itself, because of the people who speak it, which is racism. Most of the white varieties are accepted. They might not be similar, you know, and they might not be, quote, you know, correct, but they are accepted. And that's what makes Black English different, as it is not accepted.
Even though Black English is mocked and looked down upon by many white people, a lot of Black Americans use it to relate to one another every day. And those who don't use it in their home communities run the risk of becoming outsiders.
I know that my 2 children now who are in suburban systems, when I hear them talk, sometimes it grates on me. To be honest, I have 2 sons, and one's 12, one's 15. When I hear them talk, sometimes I say, my God, I mean, am I raising 2 white boys here? And I don't mean that to be negative with respect to white males, but I don't want my boys sounding like white males. And when I first heard, I started listening because a couple of my cousins came over, and they said, my age, and they said, what's happening with your sons, man? Why do they sound like that? And I said, sound like what?
Do the 3 of you all talk in the same way?
Yeah. No. Yeah, I think me and Sharon do if it's not Amelia.
Yeah.
Huh?
What's the difference?
I don't use slang as much.
I know what the difference is. Amelia have a proper voice than us. She talk
I don't
proper.
use slang as much.
Why not?
I don't know.
I know why. Because she a schoolgirl and she a mama girl. I'm a mama girl too, but you know, I still be using them slangs. You know? What's happening, girl? Where you been at? Everybody's fault. Nothing much, huh? That's my girl.
Yeah?
Yes,
It ain't
indeed.
about nothing.
It's my apostle.
So, is it a bad thing to speak proper?
Yeah.
Why is it
He
bad?
called me a bunny rabbit.
Because some
Bugs
people
Bunny.
look at you different because you don't use as much slang as them. She's trying to be cute or something like that.
You've been made to believe that your own language that you've been communicating with
But that's not
is
your
a
own
bad
language.
language. It is
That's
your
not-
own language.
listen to me.
Whites don't talk that
Listen
way.
to me. You know
Who's
why?
Is it their language?
Listen to me.
Is it their language?
listen
Whose
to me.
language is it?
Listen to me.
Whose language is it?
Listen to me. The only time you're going to use black vernacular is standing on a corner with your arm
Bullshit.
around your buddy,
No,
talking and rapping in a party
We can go
where
right in your-
everybody's
we can
hiding
go
with
sit on your
groupies.
couch.
When you're trying to take your business and you're trying to make yourself, you're trying to increase your level standards of living, believe me, black vernacular ain't going to mean no more than that cigarette butt laying on the ground.
The hardest thing, though, is for me to try to show the legitimacy of black English, that what your parents speak, what your, sisters and brothers speak, is not bad English. It's not slang. It's not something that you have to look down upon. It's just another variety. And at the same time, say, well, but still you got to learn standard English.
So whether it's slang or whether it's standard English, it's still a language. Don't tell me it ain't a language. It's a language that you have snobbed and got indoctrinated.
But it's more than just accepting a dialect. It's you have to really understand that it's politics too. It's accepting the people who speak that variety. So you can't just say that, okay, you guys, if you speak standard English, you're going to get that job. Because that's not true. You might not get the job because still that you're black, but at least if you speak a standard variety, they can't say you didn't get the job because you didn't speak standard English. At least you know that and they can't lay that on me. I got it. I got that.
Black or white, Texan or New Yorker, few people talk the same way all the time. There's one way of talking to friends and family, and another way for business or school. We switch back and forth because we know there's no one way that works in every situation. Language can bring us together or set us apart. Our social and racial attitudes are mixed up with what we feel about people's accents. And because the way we talk is so much a part of who we are, we feel a special bond with people who talk the same way we do.
Put some South in your mouth, put some Dixie in your talk. Let me hear that Southern drawl when you say y'all.
Across the country, it sounds like we're having a renewal of pride in our roots and in our speech as well. People are getting rid of the notion that everybody should sound alike. We're recognizing that our accents are part and parcel of our diverse identities, and we're certainly not afraid to advertise it.
Some people think I have Lone Star fever, that I take Texas pride too far. They think that's the only reason I eat Ron's crispy fried chicken. Come on!
Do you want a foreign car? Well, if you do, I have a tune-up special for you right now for only $19.95 plus parts.
J.L. Jones Discount Furniture on Whitfield Road is a place that we invite you to come and save money the year round.
Hey, Vern. Smells great. Cooking on a gas grill. Hot, fast, and cheap. You know, Vern,
Some people think television is making us all speak the same way, but that's not really the case. It's true you may not speak exactly the way your parents do. Americans are more mobile and better educated today than ever before. But we'll never all speak the same way.
Listen, play it smart, Vern, and call your gas company. Should have talked to your old buddy Ernest first, know what I mean? I believe him ribs about ready, Vern.
The little differences that are with us everywhere we go are not likely to be changed as long as they don't prevent comprehension, as long as they don't keep you from knowing what somebody else is saying or what you are saying to somebody else. As long as they don't spoil communication, then we're not going to change them. Why should we? I don't want to sound like somebody from some other part of the country. I don't know what's wrong with my own speech. We don't have to all talk alike. So I think that's a general feeling.
So you're not embarrassed by the way you talk? Or
No, absolutely not. It's not a matter of pride or anything, but I don't want to go through the process of making my tongue do the stuff you have to do to talk right. Why put forth the effort? Everybody knows, man. Ain't that right?
American Tongues was produced and directed by Louis Alvarez and Andrew Coker.
The coordinating producer was Susan Milano.
Line producer was Laura Myers.
Music by Mac Rabenak,
Lou Marini, George Davis.
Narrated by Trey Wilson.
Editing consultant, John Purcell.
The advisors were Walt Wolfram of the University of the District of Columbia, Frederick Cassidy of the Dictionary of American Regional English,
Raven McDavid of the University of Chicago.
The local coordinators were Shirley Perman and Sis May.
Wendell A. Harris, alias Popcorn.
Thanks to Herbie Smith, Mel Hart, and Howard Mims.
Millie Moorhead, and the Center for the Study of Southern Culture.
Ann and Mark Kinley.
And the New York Historical Society.
Weil ich sag groß Dank zu den ganzen Historians, als sie mich durchschwätzen haben lassen. Wann soll man nicht verhutet worden?
Southwestern Exposition and Fat Stock Show.
American Tongues is supported by a grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities.
And SWAMP, the Southwestern Alternative Media Project.
This has been a production of the Center for New American Media. No one away?
Let's call the whole thing off.
A friend of theirs left Louisiana, the state that he was born, and went to New York. And when he came back, he had this accent, you know, this southern picked up northern accent. And he walked in the restaurant, just on that tomato kick too. And he said, I want a menu, please. And they passed him the menu. And he looked at it. He says, I think I want an order of potatoes and tomatoes and some lettuce. And they gave him, when they brought the bill, they turned the bill down, and he ate. When he had finished eating, and he turned the bill up, he said, my God Almighty, I've never known taters and maters to cost so much.
That's right.